In this video, we're going to discuss the Ford Flex. Now, the Flex was definitely unique. When these things first came out, they looked like nothing else on the road. The Flex was known for its bold, retro-styled box shape that bridged the gap between station wagons and modern crossovers. Even today, with all of its quirkiness, it's still sought after by used car buyers, all the people that want to stand out from the crowd. So without further ado, let's discuss the Ford Flex. So it all began at the 2005 Chicago Auto Show. Ford decided to show a new concept car, and that concept car was called the Ford Fairlane concept vehicle. The concept was built on the mid-size Ford CD3 platform, so as most of you guys probably know, that was the same platform that would be used on the upcoming 2006 Fusion sedan. But long story short, people actually liked this concept vehicle, so Ford decided to go ahead and approve it for production. However, there would be a few changes made to it. It would have a new name, Ford Flex. Also, it would shift from the CD3 platform to the D4 platform. The overall styling of the concept would carry over into the production model. However, the production model would grow in size, again thanks to the new platform. The Freestar minivan was long gone by 2009. Besides, minivan sales were on the decline and prospective buyers were actually looking elsewhere. The Taurus X was supposed to kind of be like a taller station wagon, but that vehicle never really caught on. But Ford had a solution to that problem. Rather than selling you a Freestar or a Taurus X, they rather see you drive away or drive off the dealer lot in a new Ford Flex. So if you wanted one of these, front-wheel drive was standard and all-wheel drive was optional. The Flex was designed with an independent rear suspension and a traction control system called Advanced Track. There were also two different engines to choose from. Both were 3.5-liter V6s paired to a 6-speed automatic transmission. The standard engine was a naturally aspirated Duratec V6. At first, this engine produced 262 horsepower, but they cranked that number up to 287 for 2013. The other engine was a twin-turbo EcoBoost V6. This one cranked out 355 horsepower and was optional on all-wheel drive vehicles. And this twin-turbo engine got a power bump too, going up to 365 for 2013. The Ford Flex was on sale from 2009 until 2019. So let's talk about the model history. Sales for the Flex began in 2008 for the 2009 model year. Trim levels included the SC base model, mid-level SCL, and top trim limited. And by the way, you could get the roof in different colors. Ford offered 4 different choices for the roof paint: silver, black, white, and body color. In 2010, the second engine became available. This is the turbocharged engine I mentioned earlier. It was an EcoBoost V6 with 355 horsepower, and it became available on SCL and limited models with all-wheel drive standard. From 2013 to 2019, there were some significant changes. The 2013 Ford Flex got a mid-cycle refresh, but Ford actually gave the public a sneak peek back in 2011 at the Los Angeles Auto Show, where they previewed the facelifted Ford Flex. With this new refresh, the roofline and doors were retained and the front and rear end were revised. The model name was spelled out on the hood above the revised grille. There was no longer a Ford emblem on the car's face. On the tailgate, the Ford emblem was now smaller and moved to the bottom right corner. On the inside, the dashboard was updated with a new 3-spoke steering wheel. Okay, so let's talk about trim levels. Earlier you recall me mentioning that the Flex was offered in 3 trim levels: the base SC, the mid-level SCL, and the top-of-the-line limited. So the base SC was only available with front-wheel drive, and it offered the following features as standard equipment: a 3.5-liter Duratec V6 with a 6-speed automatic transmission, 17-inch aluminum wheels. Then there were things like an AM/FM stereo with a single-disc CD player, and a 6-speaker audio system. This trim level got you cloth seats, but you will still get those must-have items like keyless entry and power windows. And later on, Ford Sync also became standard equipment on this trim level. So the mid-level SCL was next, and this was available in either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. For the 2010 model year, all-wheel drive equipped SCLs had the EcoBoost V6 as an option. The SCL was upgraded to 18-inch wheels. Whereas the base model had a 6-speaker audio system, the SCL got a 7-speaker premium audio system. Then there was the top-of-the-line Limited, and this was available in either front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. There were chrome-plated side mirrors, but in 2013 those had become body-colored. There was a Sport Appearance package that was available on the SCL and Limited. This gave you things like 20-inch wheels along with other cosmetic items. On 2011 and 2012 models, an additional titanium trim level was available. It had blacked out headlights, a grille without the Ford logo, and other cosmetic upgrades. And it was only available in black, white, red, and silver. So now we're going to discuss why exactly was the Ford Flex discontinued. As far as sales, they did okay. Not exactly what Ford had wanted, but they did a lot better than a lot of other vehicles out there. Ford had wanted to sell about 100,000 of these things each year. Well, they only ended up selling less than half of that each year, with 38,000 units being the highest, which also just so happened to be 2009, which was the initial model year of the Ford Flex. The auto industry had witnessed a shift in preference towards SUVs and crossovers. Yes, the Flex was definitely an SUV or crossover, whatever you want to call it, but consumers were looking for something a little bit different. They were looking for SUVs that offered a higher ride height, and they wanted something that looked more rugged. Of course, none of this aligned with the Flex body or styling or station wagon design. So on top of all that, sales of the Flex had been on a steep decline. You guys heard me mention earlier that 38,000 units in 2009 was the highest amount they sold, despite having a target of 100,000. Those 38,000 units became 19,000 units by 2015. So pretty much this led Ford to evaluate its lineup and discontinue models with weaker sales performance as a way to optimize cost efficiency and resource allocation. The car market was moving towards more profitable and in-demand vehicles, such as trucks and larger SUVs. So this influenced Ford's decision to streamline their product offerings. Furthermore, the Flex had been on the market for over a decade with only one significant update, and that was the mid-cycle refresh it got for 2013. Ford thought it was better to just invest in newer models rather than undertake a comprehensive redesign of the Flex. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this vehicle did appeal to a market that appreciated its spacious interior, distinctive styling, and pleasant driving dynamics. But all of this just wasn't enough to justify a brand new generation. But I must admit, it would have been interesting to see a new generation of the Flex. So what does Flex actually mean? Some people say that Flex is an acronym for Ford Luxury Extended Crossover, or Ford Limited Edition Crossover, but the name doesn't stand for either of those. And nope, it doesn't have anything to do with flex fuel either. They came up with the name Ford Flex as a way of saying this vehicle is flexible. Flexible as in being able to adapt and meet the various transportation needs of the individuals who purchased this SUV. So whether you were hauling a family or a bunch of cargo, the Ford Flex was flexible enough to meet your demands. Alright, so that's it for this episode. You guys let me know what you think about the Ford Flex. Have you owned one? Have you driven one? And be on the lookout for the Lincoln MKT. That will be coming out soon. Can't wait to hear your comments, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.